A lot of new faces, so welcome. I'll introduce myself in a bit. Just a couple of general rules. So, for the session, Shubham is the hi, Deborah, hi everyone. So, Shubham will be the moderator and he's also recording the session. So, in case anyone that you know could not make it, we are recording it and we can make it available to them. And coming to me, I am Jasleen. I am the Kolkata chapter lead, and Shubham is one of my core team members. He is the community manager. So this is the part two of the event that started with Sam's session, which was about command line, which was around a week ago. So today the session is about Git and GitHub primarily. So that is what we'll be covering. And yeah, welcome everyone. I'm really glad to have such a great audience here. And a special warm welcome to the people who are attending any session with my chapter for the very first time. I'm really glad to have you guys here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen. Shubham, just unmute and let me know if it's visible.
Yeah,
Alright. Okay, I guess it is, right?
yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So before we get started, a little introduction about myself, who I am, what do I do, how did I come about this chapter. Just a brief one, won't take much time. Okay, there are some. Okay, yeah. So I am Jasleen Kausundi, that's my full name. I have recently graduated with triple majors in physics, maths, and computer science. I will be starting my master's degree in data science in a couple of months. So really excited about that. Other than that, I really enjoy mentoring people. So I have mentored over 100 people in tech and especially in Python programming. I came across the whole concept of opening a chapter around April. It really spoke to me because I migrated from my own city to a different city to study tech. But when I came back home because of the pandemic, I realized that my own city is a little behind in the whole development part, and that is what motivated me to open this chapter so that I can reach more people, spread tech, make it less scary for people. That is my motto of mentoring people. It is not as scary as it seems. Coding is pretty easy. I know most of us start out feeling like it's so difficult, but that happens mostly because of the teachers we have, who sometimes may not be as qualified as we wish them to be, and sometimes they're just bad teachers, to be really frank. So that is the whole motivation behind this and behind our chapter. That is the main goal. And these are a couple of my accomplishments. And other than this, I am also a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So that program is also pretty much like what we do at Code Academy, but we do it in cooperation with Microsoft Technologies. And funnily enough, what we're going to study today is a Microsoft technology. We'll look into that in a while. How can you connect with me? I guess Shubham has shared the link in the chat. You can go through my socials, get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'd be really happy to meet new people and discuss things. And what makes me qualified to take this session? Well, I was a part of the GitHub graduation class of 2021 this year. Really fun program by GitHub. They have gone above and beyond for students like me who have missed their physical graduation ceremonies because of the pandemic. So they basically opened this repo for first 5,000 pull requests. The people who made it, they got into the yearbook. So there's even a link all the 5,000 pull requests are featured. So that is how we made it to the class of 2021. I'm still waiting for my Slack kit. The day I do, I'm gonna update you all what there was in it. And if next year, I hope it's not the same thing as last year. I hope next year, I hope most of us go back to our universities and workplaces and meet each other. But in case if it remains the same, I'm pretty sure GitHub is gonna continue this initiative for all of us. So welcome to this session. I am really glad to be here. I hope the next 40 to 45 minutes that we're going to spend together will be good, productive. One thing I'd like to say, I'm not going to teach you the whole concept or the whole session in a very formal or technical way. I'm going to teach it to you in a way that you're going to remember. I'm going to teach it to you in a way that you can teach someone else just after the session gets over. So that's the way I teach. So you can just think of me as a friend who who's just sitting beside you with your laptop open, and they're just guiding you whatever new they learned. So I hope I can honor whatever I just said and make it interesting for everyone. So before we dive into Git and GitHub, let's have a quick icebreaker. So um, 1 second, yeah. So what is the current Netflix show or movie that you are watching? I'd love to hear some answers. Shubham, if you could just read out a couple of answers if we get any.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Maybe we can start with you. What are you watching currently?
Like not on Netflix but on Amazon Prime. A new movie came called Tomorrow War.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Is it Tomorrow World?
Tomorrow War.
Tomorrow War.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
nice.
a new movie
Great.
that came in.
How about the others?
Someone wrote Money Heist till season 2,
Nice.
but
Great show.
another one wrote Cold Case.
Sorry?
Cold Case. But
Cold
cold.
Case. Okay, these
Yeah.
are I'm basically noting down recommendations for myself.
Inception, Jane the Virgin. Jane the Virgin is an old show, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
Inception is
a,
a good one too.
yeah. Elite season 4.
Nice. Awesome. Do we have more responses?
Uh, no. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. So that's great. I hope, you know,
Yeah.
I know that's the only escape we have lately, watching shows and movies and documentaries, but hey, we're lucky to be safe at home and, you know, pretty privileged.
Yeah.
All right. So if there are no responses, Shubham, can we move on? Can you just confirm?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So this is a little trend or tradition that I have. I always start any session with a couple of memes because I know we all enjoy them. So here are some of them on GitHub. I know we haven't really got into what it is yet, but I'm pretty sure they're all gonna make sense to you once we're done with this session. And I'll also be sharing this workspace with you once we're done, so you can refer back to it whenever you like. So the first one, pretty evident: Twitter followers, Instagram followers, Reddit followers. One follower on GitHub, I would rank all of them because GitHub is all about your coding aptitude, what you display out there, basically your skill. People follow you for your skill, and that's a big deal. I mean, if you even have 10 to 15 followers on GitHub, it is a big deal, right? So other than that, this is all of us when we start learning because there are so many commands, we get lost on our way. We don't know how to approach them. We don't know how to retain them. We don't know how to use them. So pretty common. Favorite social network being GitHub because coders basically that's where they hang out, so to speak. Other than that, one simply does not understand Git, but well, in this session, I'm gonna make sure that you do. So let's get started. And feel free to unmute during the session at any point that you like. Feel free to stop me and ask questions. And if you want to ask questions at the end, we're also going to have a Q&A session in the end. So I hope we can interact during that time as well. So it's almost 5:15 right now. I will only take 40 to 45 minutes because I know most of us are bored of these online sessions. Our attention span has reduced drastically, and even the human brain can only comprehend material up to the 40-45 minutes limit. So that's what we're going to stick to, and that's what we're going to do right now. So let's get started. So our talk for today is Git and GitHub, right? So basically, what do these words mean? Before going into that, let's look at a quick scenario. So let's take Sam here. Sam, this is Sam, and this is me. So I'm just gonna write my name here. So what's the issue with both of us right now? See, let's take up a scenario where both of us are participating in a hackathon together, right? Everything is online, so of course we can do that. But I am in India and Sam is somewhere in Nigeria, right? So, but we wish to work together on a project for the hackathon. We both coders, we both can do it, but we are not at the same geographical place, we're not in the same room. Even if we get on Zoom and we code, we have to code it on our own machines, right? So to do this project, there are only two possible ways we can collaborate. The first one is to code on our own machines, right? And then maybe combining it after we're done. But what is the issue with this? The issue with this is that this will be highly inconsistent because we don't know, right? We're basically going in blind and coding on our own and then expecting in the end that we will be able to collaborate it or combine it very easily. But that does not happen in the real life scenario because that is not how code works. There might be a function or a module that I have included that maybe Sam hasn't, or maybe there is a module in Sam's code that needs a different dependency or a different library which is not present in mine. So it will be highly inconsistent and there will be a lot of discrepancies. So this will not be our go-to approach to work on this hackathon together. The second approach that we can take is we can code together using something like Google Docs because it happens in real time. We've all used it. So we create even spreadsheets, presentations, forms, and things like that. We can create them and we can collaborate with other people very easily in real time. All the changes are tracked. We can see what edits have been made. We can see what has been deleted, added, etc. So we can code together using something like Google Docs. But for coding, because Google Docs is not equipped for writing code, right? It's a documenting software, so to speak. So we cannot really code using Google Docs. So we need a different platform that's going to help us do that. Help us collaborate with each other, irrespective of geographical differences, irrespective of difference in time zones, difference of coding languages, difference of ideas. It could be anything. So there was a need which we can all see that cannot be fulfilled in the traditional
हाँ
way,
बोल
which
ना
is
तो
coding
भाई.
on our own machines. And especially with the pandemic, I'm pretty sure all of us have experienced at one point or the other that collaborative working has become easier because of video calling, has become easier because of things like Google Docs. So this, without the pandemic as well, there were people who felt like this cannot be the go-to solution. We need to form a new way to collaborate. That is where Git and GitHub came into picture, right? So now I know they kind of have the same name, Git, GitHub, only the hub is extra. So, but we have to remember Git is not equal to GitHub. There are two separate identities. There are two separate things, separate softwares that we use for collaborating with each other, right? So let's talk about Git first. What is Git? Let's take a look at that and who founded Git. So if we are asking what is Git, Git is basically a version control system. Now you must be wondering what's a version control system. So as the name suggests, it controls the versions. So obviously most of us, even if you're from a non-coding background, if you're starting a project or you're starting writing out a book, what we usually do is we write the first draft, we edit it, we improve it, and the improvement keeps going on until we have the final project or the final book. So what does that give us? It gives us different versions. So the final version is the one we go with, but for the intermittent levels, we have versions that we need as well. So this also applied to code. So the Linux founder, Linus Torvalds, he felt that we should have a system like this to even regulate code, to improve code, have different versions of it, improve it, and also be able to go into the future version or go into the past version. So that is why he came up with this concept of version control system called Git. So he is known as the founder of Git. He founded this in 2005. So this was founded around 2005. So what does this do? It is a version control system. So it basically controls the different versions and it allows us to create different versions of our code and helps us maintain it. So that is the whole concept of version control system. And Git, again, it is a distributed VCS. So we're going to call version control system as VCS from now on. So it is a distributed VCS. There is also something called a centralized VCS and a decentralized VCS, but that's not our concern for today. So we're going to focus on distributed VCS. So what does distributed VCS mean? Since we are saying it is a distributed VCS, it means basically, in simple words, the entire code base. I'm sorry, code base. Code base plus history. History means whatever edits we have made, whatever we've added, removed, etc., is available on all the computers or machines of all users. That is what a distributed VCS means. Now, you must be wondering, okay, it's a VCS, got it. Linus Torvalds invented it, fine. Then it's a distributed VCS. So why don't we go for a decentralized or centralized VCS? We go for distributed VCS. So the reason behind that is it has certain benefits. The first one being the entire code base is up to date, entire history is available, right? The second one being its traceability. So we can basically trace all the changes we're doing, what the other person is doing, and it is all updated in real time. There's no confusion, there's no inconsistency, there is no discrepancy. And the last thing that benefits us is branching and merging. So, what does branching and merging mean? We will look into a little depth in a while, but in general, it is basically if we go back to the example where Sam and I are working on our own systems but on the same project. So, what we will do is there will be a main branch. Main branch will be where all the original collaborated material is, and we will have two separate branches for both of us to work. So, one branch will be for Sam and one will be for me. So eventually, initially we will work on our respective branches, and then once we're done, we're gonna merge it into the main branch. So that is what it simply means, branching and merging. So a distributed VCS basically gives us this functionality that comes in handy. So that is why we go for Git. Now looking at Git, there were developers, they were like, okay, Git is what, basically a command line window, really, unappealing and difficult. And now just not maintaining the version of the code is enough. We can, take it to the next level. We can bring in the concept of cloud computing. So what is GitHub? Let's take a look. What is GitHub? So GitHub is basically, to say it in a very, very simple way, Git is to GitHub what Facebook is to your actual face. Now, why do I say this? So basically, Git is where you maintain your code, you save your code, update, etc. Now, you use GitHub to display this code, right? To save this code. Those who are not familiar, we're gonna just go into GitHub in a while, and I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna take a look at all the different options there, what we can do, what it looks like. Those who have completely no idea, so we can do that and take a look. So Git is to GitHub. Coming back to this, what Facebook is to your actual face. So you take selfies, you record videos, you sing songs, etc. So your actual face is basically portrayed on Facebook or showcased on Facebook. So that is what happens with code as well. You save your source code on GitHub and then you maintain it using Git. So you can call GitHub to be a cloud server based software or platform. Platform is a better word because it's hosted on the web. So where you can manipulate your code, you can create something called repositories, you can create branches. So it's basically giving a face, giving a nice UI to whatever is happening in Git. And this cloud hosting is being done through GitHub. So that is where GitHub comes in, and GitHub was founded in or developed in 2008. So that's just 3 years after Git was done. And there are 4 founders of GitHub. One is PJ. There are a couple of difficult names, but yeah, they did a pretty good job. So there's PJ Hyatt, there is Chris Warrenstadt, and there's Tom Preston Werner. Pretty difficult names, like I said, but their work has been splendid. And the last one is Scott Chacon. Yeah. So these four guys, they came up with GitHub, they designed it, they started with the whole concept of open source. So a lot of you might have heard the term, but they don't know what, we really do with it, what happens there. So these are the guys who came up with this. And then in 2018, I believe, yes, 2018, Microsoft acquired GitHub for $7.5 billion. So now GitHub is a Microsoft owned company, and we have now come up with a lot of different ways we can integrate GitHub with a lot of things. So the most common one is, we all must know, we use VS Code for multiple languages. We use like Python, JavaScript, etc. So now we can even integrate our GitHub account and directly pull requests, pull code, push requests. We can do a lot of work by integrating GitHub into VS Code. So VS Code is also a Microsoft technology. So that's pretty great. And there are two things that we should be aware of. One is the Git bash. So the Git bash is basically the command line for Git, right? This is the most basic one that we use. Now we have also come up with a lot of great UI based command line tools where you don't really have to work so much and remember all these commands. But first we're going to stick to this today, and I'm going to in the end show you a demo about Git Desktop as well. So this is basically UI friendly and really easy to navigate. So we're going to take a look at that as well. So this was all about what is GitHub and what is Git. I hope that it's clear. One last thing that I would like to discuss before we go into the presentation, where we're going to talk in detail, is that you need to know these three terms before we delve into that, because we will be using them a lot throughout. The first one is a repository, the second one is a directory, and the third one is, just a second, third one is the staging area. So now, what does a repository mean? We call it the repo a lot in GitHub lingo. So it's a repo, and it's basically the cloud folder that you create remotely. Remotely as in which is not on our local machine. A directory is any folder that is on our local machine. And lastly, we have something called the staging area in GitHub. So Git and GitHub. So the staging area is basically a rough space where you store your drafts. Before it's finally committed, we use the word committed a lot as well. So before, where you store your drafts before committing to the final branch. Drafts before committing. Okay, so this is all about this. I'll just take a quick check that is everyone clear about whatever we covered so far? Are there any doubts? Any doubts so far? Any questions?
Ma'am, can you explain the three terms again?
Yeah, sure. I'll
Repo.
do that. Sure thing. It will become more clearer once we start working, but definitely I'll just reshare my screen and we're gonna take a look at that. Okay. Yep. I hope my screen is visible. So the three terms are very simple: repository, directory, staging area. So the first one is repository. Repository is on GitHub always. We do not call them folders, we call them repositories. So even if I'll just share my screen and show you once I'm done explaining that the folders are called as repositories on GitHub as well. So the repository is on the cloud. it's not on your local machine, you can always clone it and download it to your local machine, but a repository is always on GitHub. So just remember that, it will become really easy to follow along. Next is directory, any folder that is on your local machine. So any folder that you see here, this is a basically directory. This folder stuff, work, etc. All these are printouts, setups, studies, all these are directories because they're on your local machine. And lastly, staging area. Now the staging area, this is something you can't see. It's all happening internally in the VCS. But for example, this is your, let's call this your local directory, right? And let's imagine this staging area over here. Oh my god, I don't know why it made it into an oval, but whatever. And this is your final repo, right? Now there might be some work that you're doing. You don't want to directly commit it to the repo. You don't want to put it over there as yet. And this is basically pushing the code. We call it as pushing the code. So commit and push, you can commit it and send it here. You do not wish to send it directly to the final repo. So where does it go when you just commit it? It goes to the staging area. So the staging area, you can just think of it as a backstage area before a dance performance. That artist gets dressed up, they go to the backstage area to wait before their performance starts, and then they go onto the final stage. So you can imagine the staging area to be the backstage area or the green room, and you can imagine the repo to be the final stage facing the audience. So before going to the final stage, obviously a dancer has to, or a performer has to go to the backstage area first, and then they head on to the final stage. So the commit command helps us to put it in the staging area, and the push command helps us to put it in the final repo. I hope I could make it a little clearer now. I hope so. Yeah. Okay. In case you haven't understood it, just drop a message in the chat. We can also talk up about it after the session is over, so you can always reach out to me. Now we're going to talk about, we're done with understanding what both these terms are. So I'm just going to give you a quick trip of what GitHub looks like and what are the different options over there. And then we're going to move on to the small presentation I've prepared. Just give me a second. Yep. So I'm just going to share my screen again. So for those who do not have an account, this is what GitHub looks like. So this is my profile, as you can see. And like we talked about, these are the repositories. So like you can see, I have 15 of them over here. So I'll just click on one of them. We'll just open and take a look before we go into what Git Bash is and things like that. So like I told you about the GitHub graduation repo. So if I just click on this, it's going to take me to my branch. As you can see, these are the branches, which I said like we can create, right? There are if I click on view all branches, there are a lot of active ones, tail ones, etc. So you can just see, there are a lot of options over here. And if I go to the original one, so there is a concept of forking a repo. Forking is basically copying it into yours. So this is the original repo. And over here, as you can see, it is owned by GitHub, right? And there have been around 3,600 pull requests over here. And these are the contributors, etc. And as you can see, there are a lot of tabs. So this is the code. So whatever code has been pushed is here. Then there is a tab for issues. So what makes GitHub a really good tool is that you can really easily collaborate with people over here. You can, just click on a new issue, type out your message, type out your pull request number, tell them that, this is the problem, blah, blah, blah. And you can just submit it and someone will resolve it for you, because that is how open source works. You do not need to get on a meeting every time you want to raise an issue or a concern. That is how you work seamlessly and remotely using GitHub. And remote working obviously has been on the rise since the pandemic began. So it has been a great help for developers to use GitHub. Next, over here we can see pull request. So what is a pull request? To put it simply, if there is a main branch and if there is your branch. So if you have made a change that is not updated on the main branch and you wish for it to be included, you raise a pull request. You tell the main branch owner that you need to update your branch to mine. Okay, you have to match your branch to mine. So that is what a pull request basically does. So over here, as you can see, there are a lot of people who have created pull requests just like I did, right? So what they did is what they added whatever was supposed to be added from their end, and that needed to be included into the main repo. So what they have done is they have created the pull request. They have written it out, as you can see over here, that application checklist is done, blah blah blah, and they have the GitHub board approved it that okay, all your work is seamless and it is ready for merge. So there should not be any inconsistencies or issues with the main branch. If all is good, your pull request gets merged. So that is how the pull request concept of this works. Now you can obviously star a repo, star as in it's going to appear in your favorites, and there's something called fork repo. So fork basically it creates a copy of the particular repo into your account. So this is all about GitHub. It's pretty simple to use and it's pretty self-explanatory. So this is my account, and over here, as you can see, I have around 6 followers, so 16 followers. So if I, for example, if I go up to Sam's profile, and if I wish to copy this mini projects repo over here, I'll just click on fork, and it's gonna ask me where do you want it. I'm gonna click on my personal account. This is my company's account, so I'm gonna go with the personal account, and in a while you'll see that the copy of that account project has been created. So what makes open source really fun, and what makes going into GitHub and using it as a social network really help, because all the companies are hosting their source code here. There are really really awesome programmers who post a lot of open source stuff. You can go through them, fork their repos, learn a lot, start their repos, wait for their changes, and basically do a lot. It opens up your world to a lot of possibilities. And for those who are a college student here like me, who are about to graduate, oh yeah, exactly. That's all we do. Even I did that when I wasn't aware of how it works. So this forking thing makes it really, really easy how to do it. And basically you have a copy of it in your repo, and then you can go ahead, clone it, and start working with it, right? So over here, like I said, if you're a college student as well, having a GitHub account is really good. And if you want to be an SDE or things like that, it's really important, because now in place of a resume, the old school resume, people ask for your LinkedIn account, they ask for your GitHub account, because the GitHub account will basically show them your aptitude for GitHub, obviously, that whether you are up to remote working, whether you are up to collaborating in a different space, and whether you can basically they check out your projects as well, whatever coding you have done, which language do you code in, etc. So just one look at your GitHub profile will give them all those details. So that is why, as an engineering graduation student, or I know a couple of you are, and even if you're just a person starting to get into tech, or if you're just someone, even if you make a simple program like a calculator or a notes app on React and things like that, have a GitHub account, start publishing your projects as your repos, because it's gonna help you in the long run. It's not only gonna help you with your GitHub skills, it will also start building your portfolio, which you can really, really use while applying for jobs. So that's a really, really good use. And over here, like you can see, it's you can even customize this README. So there's a special, I'm going to cover this in the end, because it's not really important, but it's fun. So we're going to talk about this in the end. And yeah, basically there's, you can also pin certain repositories in your profile, because it's going to show them at the top. So like, just like I forked Sam's repository, it's going to show me that okay, it's forked from Sam's repo and it's called mini projects. Other than that, these are all mine. That's how we can see. And if you just click on overview, it's gonna show you that okay, these are the pinned ones. So these are the ones I have pinned to my profile. So as well as you can do the same, that whichever one is a really good one and you want to showcase it, you can do so. And these are basically your contributions. So they have this fun calendar thing. Programmers really like to call this their own technical gardening, that the number of commits you make, it turns green based on that, less and more. So that's really fun. So you can always challenge yourself to do 100 days in a row, track it over here. It's pretty satisfactory, so it's fun like that. And this is something, this tab is basically for projects. So projects is basically to work with other people, so that is where this comes in. And packages are also, you can use all these packages and work in GitHub itself. So this is a little advanced stuff. So if you are a beginner, just start with how and what it works. And then maybe you can slowly go into that. And over here, as you can see, you can also create your own organization. So if you want to work for a different company, or maybe if you start a company with your friend or something like that, you can always start a new organization. So that was all about GitHub, how it looks like, what it is. Now let's go into the presentation really quick.
Hello, Jasmine. Someone asked, can you make a repo private?
Yes, you can. You can have a public repo, you can have a private repo. So once I'm gonna do a quick live demo in the end. So I'm gonna show you how you can toggle between the two and how you can actually publish a repo. So we're gonna do a bit of hands-on as well. So I will cover that there as well. But yes, you can make a private repo. Private repo is basically for any office you're doing any private work, NDA related work that you're doing that you do not wish to share with the world, you can do that. So I'm gonna put this in presenter mode really quickly. Awesome. Okay. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible. No
Is it
problem.
Yeah, yeah,
is
it
it
is.
full screen? It's fine, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you. So we're gonna quickly go into what we just talked about. We have heard a lot of this already. Yeah. So we'll just cover quickly GitHub and GitHub. We have already done that. Version control, we're gonna take a deeper look what we mean by that. We're gonna see the GitHub workflow, how it works. And then lastly, I'm gonna show you a quick demo, how you can create a repo on GitHub and how you can use Git Bash to interact with it, right? So let's begin. So Git is not equal to GitHub, as I said. We have covered all this. Linus Torvalds, the same person who created Linux. It is a United-based global company that provides hosting for software development and version control using Git. It is a repository hosting service, so this hosting is done on cloud. It gives you a web-based graphical interface to interact with your repositories or your projects. So this is a quick diagram that's going to help you understand, the difference between the two. So it was first developed in 2005, maintained and installed on your local system rather than in cloud. One thing that really sets it apart from all other version control systems is the branching model. So just like I explained that if Sam and I are working on the same project, we're going to work on our individual branches. I'm going to show you how to create a branch as well really quickly. Other than that, GitHub is a cloud-based service. We already covered that as well. It gives them the power to make revisions or edits. That is the highlight. Now, this is done. Okay. Yeah. So what is a version control system? Basically, it is a source controller. Is the practice of tracking and managing changes to a software code. It's a software tools that help software teams manage changes to codes over time. So if you're someone who are working at a remote job, maybe you're somewhere in India and you're working somewhere in a US-based startup company or a US-based company, you might not be, traveling there every day, but you are working on the same project as your colleague who is in America or in Africa or in Europe. So that is where version control system comes really handy. It keeps track of every modification made to the special kind of database. If a mistake is made, they can turn back the clock, compare the earlier versions. That's the benefit of having multiple versions, and fix the mistake while minimizing disruption to all team members. So that is what makes version control system so much fun and so useful. So it basically protects source code from both catastrophe and the casual degradation of human error and unintended consequences. So even the VS Code that we use on our machines, it is hosted, its source code is available on GitHub. So, if one of us even makes a mistake, it can break, it can stop working for millions of users. But yes, the concept of version control will help us turn back the clock, fix our error, so that no one's really affected by what one person did or what one change was done to the code base. So that is why version control system is so amazing. Next, we discussed the repository, staging area, and working directory. So as you can see, this is the basic workflow. If you just get this, you're halfway there. And then the rest of the commands that we see, we see a really big list usually when we look up GitHub commands, right? But if you just understand this simple flow, The rest of it will come really easily to you because it's really not that hard. Because this concept of visualizing the staging area initially is a little difficult, but you get used to it, right? So working directory is something that you can access, which is on your local machine, as I mentioned. Staging area is where you add it and then you leave it over there, and then you commit it. Commit is again different from add. The difference basically being commit still not sends the code finally to the repository. It's the push command that says the final code to the final repository. So we add the files from the working directory to the staging area, we commit it to the repo, and then finally with the push command, we push the final code base to our final repository, which is on GitHub, which is cloud-based and remote, right? Next, let's take a look. So to obtain a repository, we will see how we do this. I'm going to show this in another 5 minutes. So we use the git init or git clone command. Git init is not really used lately. We go with git clone, so it's pretty easy. Make some changes, stage your changes. Git add, using git add, we can stage them. We can commit them, and with this command git commit -m and then my message, you can add an appropriate message. So adding messages is a really good practice, and adding useful messages is the best practice, because the whole concept of collaborating with other people and working in open source projects is that you will be collaborating with a lot of people, so your messages should be descriptive, they should be self-explanatory, so that someone else reading your commit message can easily understand what change you have made to the code base. They should not be left wondering, okay, what does mine fixed the code means. You should probably specify the line number where you have fixed the code, how much time it took you to do it, and what new changes you have done consequently. And then you can push the changes, as I said. So pushing is the final one. And then if you wanna get it back or revert it, you can use the git fetch command. So let's go to the next slide. This is again the concept of branches. Like I said, master branch, you create a new branch, then you commit the changes and you raise a pull request. So you raise a pull request only when the master branch and the newly created branch have a difference, like I showed you in the GitHub repo. So what all of us were supposed to do is fork the repository, push the changes in our repository, and then raise a pull request with GitHub's original repo. That okay, as you said, I have made the changes, and obviously your main branch is not up to date with my branch, so please accept my pull request. That's what happens. Excuse me. Right? So this is also pretty self-explanatory. So these are a couple of commands. So other than these commands, I have also made a cheat sheet especially for this event. So we're going to share that after the event is done. It basically has all the commands you need to get started with GitHub. I have tried to simplify it as much as possible. So I'd love your feedback on it. And these are some commands that we're going to use now to work with creating a repository. So let's try out a live demo. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation and we're going to actually do some live demonstration here. So I'm just going to, just a second, share my screen again. Shubham, just let me know if it's visible.
Yeah,
It's on. You can see.
Okay, awesome. So we're just gonna head over to GitHub. So the first thing that you need to do when you want to host your code on GitHub is create a new repository. So we're gonna click on repositories. We're gonna click on this button here called new, right? And we're gonna give it a name. So I'm gonna call it Code Academy Demo. Awesome. Okay. And I can add a description if I want, and I can leave it empty as well. So I'll just add it as this is a demo repo, right? And I guess Lauren asked that if we can make it public or private. As you can see, you get the option here. So private ones cannot be collaborated with just about anyone. You have to give them special access. You have to send them out invites, and public ones can be forked, copied, starred by anyone. So we're gonna go with the public one for now, and we're just gonna click on create repository. right? Our repository is created. As you can see, this is my profile and this is the repository created. And as you can see, there is this link to my repository. So we're going to work with Git Bash now. I'll show what we can do with Git Desktop after the session is over, because learning Git Bash is important. You can always switch to Git Desktop once you're familiar with the commands. So what I've done is I'm just going to copy this link and I'm going to head back to my desktop and we're going to use the Git Bash. Now, like I am pretty sure even Sam covered it during his session. So I'm going to click Git Bash here, right? And it's going to initialize. As you can see, my name and my laptop number, etc. are all here. We have also shared the link on how you can configure your username and email in GitHub in the Git Bash. So it's a really great video by Atlassian. You can refer to that as well if you're facing difficulties. And I think this was also covered a bit in Sam's session, so I'm not going to repeat that. So we're just going to start directly with cloning the repo. So what we did is we are going to use the git clone command. I hope my bash is visible enough, or else I'm just gonna.
Justin, can you increase the window a little?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do that because I guess it's too small, right? Text and font properties, default. Okay.
হ্যাঁ ছটা সময় বেরোবো বড় আজকে বেশি এক্সারসাইজ আজকে 1 ঘন্টা এক্সারসাইজটা
Just a second.
ছটার সময় ছটা কিছু করতে হবে
Smoothing. Let's get it up to say 18. Apply. Okay. So we're gonna apply it and save. So we're gonna use the git clone command now, and I'm gonna paste the URL that I copied, right? So just two words, git clone, and the URL that GitHub gave me, that this is your repo URL. I'm just gonna click enter. As you can see, it's telling me cloning Codecademy demo, which is what we named, and it says you appear to have cloned an empty repository because obviously it does not have any files yet. Now let's minimize this, and as you can see, the folder Codecademy demo is created. So we're gonna open this and we're gonna try adding some files to it now. So let's do one thing. Let's create a txt file and let's call it hello world. Now let's open the file, add some text. We are learning how to use GitHub. And I'm just gonna save this. Let's close it. Done, right? So this is our working directory, right? Now what we have to do, we have to stage these changes and then we have to push these changes for it to reflect on GitHub. Now we're gonna do git bash here again. We're not gonna use the same one because what you can do is like we studied command line, so we can cd into the new folder, or you can just use a new git bash over here. That is also fine. So we're gonna git bash here, and you will be able to see, the Codecademy demo folder is, now in the path, and we are on the master branch. So the master branch or the main branch. So now we have cloned it and we have added a new file. Now we want to stage these changes. So now there are two ways you can do it. You can either do git add and then the name of your file. And if you want to put across all the changes across all the multiple files, you can just take a space, click on this dot and press enter. So all changed files will be added automatically. So we're going to do that. It's done. Now we're going to see, we're going to use git status command to see what are the changes. So it says no on master branch, no commits yet, changes to be committed. So it knows we have added the file. Now we haven't committed yet. So now we're going to go ahead and commit it. We're going to use the command git commit, and we're going to use -m. Now -m lets us to put a message. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to put a relevant message. So we're going to say added a new file, new txt file. Let's go with that, right? And we're gonna press enter. And as you can see, it tells you over here, one file changed, one insertion. So one insertion is basically what we did in the file, right? Now the last step is pushing it. It has been staged successfully. Now we're gonna push it. So we're gonna do git push origin. Origin is basically what links your remote working directory and links your local directory to your remote directory, right? So we're gonna do git push origin, and the branch that we're currently working on, we haven't created any branches yet. We're working on the master branch. So we're gonna say master, and we're gonna press enter. So it's gonna take a while. It takes a while sometimes, but as you can see, 3 objects done, pushed, all succeeded, right? New branch, master, all up to date, 100% done. Now let's head over to GitHub and let's refresh this page. As you can see, 1 minute ago, this new folder, our local directory, local file is now available on GitHub, and if we click it and if we open it, we can see we are learning to use GitHub over here. Are there any questions so far? Any doubts, any questions so far? Do let me know. Or else I'm just going to proceed further with how we can we can pull the updated files from GitHub. Shiva, if there are any questions, just let me know. In the meantime, I'm just going to proceed with
Yes,
the
sure.
next thing. Okay. So now what we have done is we supplied a file from our local desktop to GitHub. Now there might be times where you can add, you may want to do some changes here, and then make sure your local repository is up to date with your remote repository. So this folder, Codecademy demo, justly1010 / Codecademy demo, is the remote one which is on cloud. Now let's add one file to this cloud. So let's do add file, create new file. Okay, and let's name it as txt repo, or let's call it as repo file. But it's on the repo, so let's call it repo file. And put a message here. This is on the cloud of GitHub, right? And over here we have called it as repo file, so let's keep that in mind. And over here, as you can see, it is automatically telling them you're committing a new file. You need to put in a relevant message what you're doing with it. So we're just gonna say added a new file from GitHub web. Okay, since we are using the web interface. Now we're gonna say we're committing the new file, and obviously if you're working with multiple people, you can just change which user is working on what. So we're gonna say commit new file. And as you can see, it's refreshed. The new file, repo file, is added a new file from GitHub web, right? But now if we go back to our desktop, do you think it's gonna be there? I don't think so, because we haven't told it that you need to copy whatever the changes were in the remote repo. So over here we only have one file. So we will now go back to our git bash. We will tell it you have to pull the new changes, whatever they were. You need to pull all the changes from the remote repo to your local directory. So we're gonna just say git pull 2 words, and we're gonna wait. So over here you can see the fast forward repo file is added, one file changed, one insertion. Now if we go back to our folder, we see repo file, and if we just open it, we didn't specify the file type, so obviously we have to open it with a notepad. Let's go with notepad. This is on the cloud of GitHub. So this is how you can do it both ways, working directory to repo and from repo to working directory, right? I hope it's clear so far. The next thing and the last thing on our agenda today, we're gonna see how to create a branch, and we're gonna try to switch
Jasleen,
between
there is a
branches.
question here.
Okay. Okay, I'll just answer the question once. Yeah, I'll just stop sharing. Okay, when do you use the git command line? When there's the GitHub desktop. So basically the thing is, the git bash obviously came first, so people started using that. There's no significant advantage or disadvantage. I'll just show you what GitHub desktop looks like. It's pretty much the same, and the thing is, there is a level of abstraction to it, so you don't have to worry so much, and basically it makes your user experience really comfortable. Other than that, there are no significant advantages or disadvantages, but yes, if you're learning for the first time, it helps to visualize it through GitHub, Git Bash, because it's similar to command line. So for a lot of people who are Linux workers, it's really comfortable and familiar. Other than that, personally, I haven't found any significant advantage or disadvantage. Same goes with using it with VS Code. So I'm going to show you both of them. There isn't really a big difference. Just a second. Yep. So I'm just gonna share my screen again.
বলো ঘরে আছি হ্যাঁ যাবো 6টা 30 নাগাদ বেরিয়ে যাবো 6টা 15 নাগাদ বেরিয়ে যাবো
Okay, there's another question. What is branch? A branch is nothing but your own
কি
personal folder. That's it.
আর
We're gonna
বেরিয়ে
see
যাবো
a
10
branch in
মিনিট
a
পর
while.
বেরিয়ে
So
যাবো
before that, just take a look at this. So this is VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So over here as well, you can use Git with it. You can integrate that and you can work with it. So in order to use Git features, you can open a folder containing a Git repository or clone from a URL, right? So I'm just gonna close all these extra files. I was just working on something. So this also works in a
কখন
similar way,
জিমে
but
বেরোবে
yeah,
জিজ্ঞেস
its
করছিল
installation is a little tricky, but
কখন
its
জিমে বেরোবে
integration is
জিজ্ঞেস
pretty
করছিল
simple. So this is also one way you can use it, and it is highly abstracted as well.
হ্যাঁ
So if I want to clone a repository over here, I will click on clone from GitHub,
ঠিক আছে please.
and I can even clone any other. I can clone the latest repository that I've forked from Sam. So if I type the name, let me just check the name of that repository. Let's clone this one itself. Let's see if Code Academy demo. See, all the ones that I've forked, it shows up over here. So you don't have to really type git clone, etc., etc. If I just click on this, it's gonna do it for me. So it does, this basically makes the user experience a little easier and work faster. But for beginners, it's recommended to go through Git Bash because you need to know basically what if the software fails you sometime and you have to work with something else. So this is how it looks like in VS Code. Other than this, I'll just quickly show GitHub Desktop. This is what GitHub Desktop looks like. So over here as well, you can do multiple things over here. You can open new repos. Currently, we're on the Code Academy repo. So let's try creating new branches and making another change. So if I just go here and create a new file, say demo text or demo GitHub, and let's not put anything over here, and just go to GitHub Desktop. No, and we don't want to be on Code Academy. We want to change, or we can just view it on GitHub. Okay, now this is the other one, not the one we are working. So again, here you have to work on. This is how you can directly create a repository in GitHub Desktop itself instead of going to GitHub Web App. And you can also clone repositories here. So you can see the ones that are here. Same things happening. If I just clone this once again, it's cloning it over here. But obviously the directory address is different because it's creating it somewhere else. So over here it won't show you 0 files changed. But if I add a local repository, if I go here, and if I just add the folder that we have been currently adding new files to, as you can see, this new change file, it's already telling you that you changed this. So now if you click over here, you can put in your commit message, new GitHub file, and you can just commit it directly. You don't have to write git commit, etc. If you just commit it over here, and if you want to push it to origin, click it here, and it gets pushed. That's it. That's the basic difference. But like I said, on a knowledge front point, if you learn from Git Bash, it's really good, because then all these minorities, what you're minute things that you're doing here, it won't seem like a big deal. Because if you directly start with this, you won't really be able to get what you're doing. So I hope I was able to make that clear. So let's get back to creating a branch really quickly. So again, over here there are branches. As you can see, there are no branches over here. So we can go back to our Git Bash, and let's just type the command git branch. It just says there's one branch, right? The master one. So now this is the syntax for creating a new one, git branch, and I'm gonna call it Justine. And if I click enter, this new branch called Justine will be created. Now if I git branch, it's gonna list out all the branches that are there. So the star next to it is currently showing you that the path is currently set to master. But then over here, as you can see, there is no Justine branch, but once we created it, there are 2 branches. Similarly, now if you refresh on GitHub, over here you will be able to, you click on your branches. It takes a while to reflect, but it will. Okay, in the meantime, let's just see how we can switch between branches. So the command for it is git checkout, and if you just write the repository name, or sorry, the branch name, it's gonna switch to the other one. And if you wanna switch back, same command again, it will switch back to the original one, and it's obviously telling you your branch is up to date with origin master. So only if there is a difference between the two, you can raise a pull request. And last command that I'd like to show you is git log. Git log will basically tell you whatever you have done so far, whatever changes, comments, pull, push, everything. So as you can see, the new GitHub file, added a new file, added a new txt file. So this is all we have done so far in this session today, and with date and time and everything, it's listed out, and the author name and their email is also listed out. So it's really it comes really handy when you're working with a team. So let me just finish the presentation. So basically, in case of fire, git commit, git push, leave building. Now you get this name because never leave your code on your local machine. So always commit it, push it, and then leave the building. So that was all about the presentation. I'll just take another quick second before we move on to the remaining part of the session. We're gonna do another 20 minutes, so we'll be done by then. So I'll just quickly list out a couple of open source programs that you can get into if you are interested in getting GitHub. This is just a random free info. It's not part of the lesson, but I thought it might help anyone who wants to try their luck into open source and basically explore. So the best one is obviously Google Summer of Code. I'm sure most of you are aware of it. Really amazing programs, great companies come in, you learn a lot. You even get paid if you get into a good project. Then there is Hacktoberfest. It happens every October. Great for beginners. I even did my first Hacktoberfest last year, really fun. You even get a t-shirt, really good first issues for beginners. You can learn how to make the pull requests, push requests, everything really fun. That's a great way to learn. And then there is also Google Season of Docs, also hosted on GitHub. And there is Outreachy, also a great open source program. So you guys can check that out. Other than that, yes, it's done from my end. So I took the liberty of creating a really small quiz, MCQ based quiz for all the attendees. If Shubham, you can go ahead and okay, I'll just share it. So you can just take a quick quiz. It'll hardly take you. Okay, Shubham, I shared it. It'll hardly take you 10 minutes. You can go ahead and try it out. It's just for fun. It's not being calculated into anything or any stuff like that. But yeah, it's just to test whatever I have covered in the session if you're good to go with that. So please feel free and try out the quiz. And those who do not wish to, it's completely okay. It's completely optional. I am dropping in a quick feedback form. So if you like the session, please leave a feedback. And I'm also open for questions if you have any. I'm just gonna quickly open the quiz on the side.
মাম্মা 30 টাকা হবে?
If anyone has any questions. Thank you, Joe. I am glad you liked it. Please do try out the quiz. It's not really too difficult or anything. It should be fun.
Jaswinti, I'm ending the recording then.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Shubham.